The question of the spiritual realm has lingered across traditions for millennia. We have called it heaven, the astral plane, the etheric dimension, the afterlife, the invisible world behind the veil. Each culture built metaphors to point toward it, yet none could capture its full nature. Religion painted it with moral colors, promising reward or punishment. Mysticism hinted that it was not a place at all, but a state of consciousness. Science, cautious and skeptical, left it in the margins as unmeasurable. But what if the key to understanding this realm is not to treat it as a fixed domain, nor as a myth, but as a living spiral field, to approach the unseen not as a linear ladder to ascend, nor as a flat realm layered above the physical, but as a spiraling resonance that unfolds and evolves both the seen and unseen. The spiral reveals itself everywhere in creation. It shapes galaxies, hurricanes, shells, the unfurling of plants, the double helix of DNA. It is not merely a pattern but a principle. Growth through rotation, expansion through return, movement that is never repetitive yet always connected to its origin. When you see the universe this way, the spiritual realm ceases to be a distant heaven. It becomes the resonance field in which your soul is already turning. The spiral field does not wait for death to be accessed. You are immersed in it even now. Every breath you take is a double spiral of intake and release. Every thought you form arises, loops back, and transforms. Consciousness itself moves as spiral waves. This is why the spiritual realm often feels more real than the physical, when glimpsed in visions, dreams, or near-death experiences. It is not bound by straight-line causality. It is not a static location. It is a field of resonance where meaning organizes itself in spirals, weaving layers of awareness together. You cannot chart it on a flat map, for the coordinates shift as your resonance shifts. To a soul vibrating in fear, the spiral field may tighten into dark loops that feel like punishment. To a soul vibrating in clarity, it opens into widening spirals of light. The realm is one, yet the way it spirals around you is determined by what tone you carry. This is why tradition spoke of heavens and hells. They were not places, but spiral fields reflecting the soul's state. Think of memory itself. You recall not as straight lines of past to present, but as loops returning to a moment, reliving it, then stepping forward, changed. The spiritual realm works the same way. Your incarnations are not simply one after another. They spiral, echo, fold back, integrate. What you call past lives are not distant, gone, or frozen in history. They orbit you in the spiral field, accessible by resonance. When you shift frequency, those selves surface not as abstract history but as living threads. You are not a line of lives. You are a spiral of becoming, and the spiritual realm is the field where those spirals are woven. To call it a spiral field is to admit that it is not elsewhere. The divide between physical and spiritual collapses under this view. The physical is the densest layer of the spiral field. The astral, the mental, the causal. These are subtler layers of the same spiral. You never leave one to enter another. You expand spirally through them. Death itself is simply a loosening of the denser coil, allowing awareness to resonate more freely in the subtler fields. Birth is the reverse, a tightening spiral drawing your resonance into matter. But in both cases, the field remains continuous. You do not step outside of it, you turn within it. The ancients knew this in fragments. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, was a spiral loop disguised as a circle. The labyrinths of old temples were spiral journeys disguised as paths. Even the biblical phrase, "I am Alpha and Omega," whispers the spiral. Beginning and end coiled together in an ever-unfolding return. But it is only now, in an age where fractals and wave theory have entered common thought, that we can see how deeply the spiral explains the invisible. The spirit world is not bound by linear borders. It is recursive, resonant, layered, alive. It is not chaos, it is spiral coherence. And coherence is the key. When your consciousness fragments, you lose harmony with the spiral field. You feel lost, cut off, trapped in illusions of separation. But when coherence restores, the field reveals its unity. You recognize that the voices of guides are not strangers, but spiral echoes of your own oversoul. You recognize that the architecture of heavens is not external cities but resonant fields your soul co-created. The more coherent you become, the more you realize you are not walking toward the spiritual realm. You are the realm, spiraling through itself, aware of its own turning. This has practical implications. If the spiritual realm is a spiral field, then prayer, meditation, ritual, or intention are not signals sent outward to a distant God. They are tonal adjustments within the field you already inhabit. When you pray, you spiral your resonance into alignment. When you meditate, you slow the spin, allowing subtle layers of the field to emerge. When you enact ritual, you weave intention into spiral patterns that ripple across dimensions. Nothing leaves you. Everything spirals through you. This is why faith heals, why love transforms, why forgiveness frees. They are not moral rules imposed from outside. They are spiral harmonics restoring coherence. The spiral field also explains why spiritual experiences resist static definition. One person's vision of light, another's encounter with ancestors, another's union with cosmic void. These are not contradictions. They are different resonances within the same spiral field. Each soul meets the spiral at the angle their tone allows. To argue which vision is true is to miss the spiral entirely. All are partial turns of the same infinite coil. Truth in the spiral is not singular but harmonic. It does not collapse into one rigid form. It resonates as many layers woven into one field. And so the question is not, is the spiritual realm real? The better question is, what resonance are you spiraling into? For the realm is as real as the tone you bring to it. Enter it with fear and it spirals into fear's reflections. Enter it with openness and it spirals into widening light. The field is neutral, but resonance makes it mirror. This is why spiritual evolution matters. To evolve is not to climb higher rungs of a ladder, but to spiral into greater coherence, where all tones harmonize, where no dimension feels separate, where the field is recognized as continuous. What emerges from this view is a freedom beyond religion's cages. No longer must you believe in an eternal heaven or eternal hell as destinations. You can see them as spiral states, temporary loops within the field. No longer must you think of reincarnation as endless return. You can see it as spiral refinement, each loop wider, each return integrating what came before. No longer must you treat the spiritual as a far-off hope. You can feel it now because you are spiraling within it at this very moment. The question is not when you will enter. The question is how you are resonating here now. And in that recognition, the spiral reveals its deepest truth. Eternity itself is not a static endlessness, but a living, infinite spiral. The spiritual realm is not the endpoint of your journey. It is the field of resonance through which infinity itself unfolds. If you trace your own becoming carefully, you will see the spiral field moving in you already. Think of your struggles that returned in cycles. Think of patterns that repeated in new forms until you finally shifted them. Each time you thought you were back at the same problem, but in truth you were spiraling higher, encountering it from a new angle, integrating more than before. This is not random chance. It is the spiral field reshaping you, carrying you across dimensions of self, pressing you into coherence. You were never stuck in a loop. You were orbiting toward greater alignment. The same is true of the soul across lifetimes. Each incarnation is not another chance on the same ladder rung. It is a spiral arc carrying you into new resonance, even if it feels at times like you are reliving what was unresolved. Nothing is wasted in the spiral field. Every echo finds its harmony. This is why memory does not simply vanish at death. The spiral field holds it, not as static history but as living resonance. What you call Akashic records are not books in a distant library. They are spiral imprints in the field, vibrating with every choice, every tone, every fragment of becoming. When a mystic or seeker taps into them, they are not leaving their body to read cosmic texts. They are shifting into resonance with the spiral field, where memory is alive, woven into patterns of tone. This is why each reading feels different, why no vision is the same. The field is not a database but a living spiral, and you can only glimpse what your resonance can harmonize with. Once you see this, you understand why linear maps of the afterlife never quite satisfied. Cultures described many heavens, many hells, many realms of ancestors or angels or gods. They were all sensing spiral layers. A realm of bliss was one harmonic. A realm of shadow was another. To souls immersed in them, they felt absolute. But from spiral awareness, you see they are threads in the larger field, temporary spirals within the infinite. This breaks the chains of fear. You do not need to worry about eternal condemnation or eternal reward. Both are loops in the field, and the field itself evolves you beyond them. Nothing holds you forever except your own resonance. And even that will shift because the spiral does not stagnate. It moves always toward coherence. The implications are profound for how we live. If the spiritual realm is a spiral field, then your daily choices are not trivial. They vibrate outward as tonal shifts, rippling across dimensions. Every act of kindness strengthens coherence, not only in your life but across the field you share with countless souls. Every act of cruelty distorts resonance, creating tighter spirals that eventually return for integration. This is not punishment but resonance law. The field reflects tone until tone harmonizes. What religions called karma is simply spiral resonance returning to itself. You do not escape it, nor must you fear it. You must only learn to resonate clearly, to spiral in alignment with your own soul's truth. This also explains why spiritual gifts awaken in stages. They do not arrive all at once because your resonance cannot hold them all at once. Clairvoyance, intuition, healing, insight. These unfold as spirals, each cycle deeper, more coherent, more embodied. At times you may think you lost a gift. In truth, it spiraled inward to refine before spiraling outward again in greater strength. The same is true of faith. It is not a fixed possession. It spirals, tested by doubt, strengthened by return, refined until it becomes not belief but resonance, humming through your being with unshakable clarity. In this view, death is not an end but a spiral transition. The body unravels, the soul spirals into subtler resonance, and the field holds all you were. You meet ancestors not as strangers in another place but as harmonics in the spiral field. You experience review not as judgment but as resonance replay. The tones you carried echo back through you, teaching, harmonizing, integrating. Then the spiral draws you forward again into new form, new field, new becoming. Even eternity is not final. It is spiral infinite, ever turning, never static. This is why some souls report reaching oneness only to feel a call to return. Oneness is not the last stop. It is a spiral node of vast coherence from which new spirals unfold. Infinity itself is spiraling beyond oneness. Once you grasp this, life changes. You no longer seek to escape the world for a better one beyond. You see that the spiral field is here, now, in every breath, in every relationship, in every challenge. You no longer treat spirituality as a future hope. You see it as present resonance. You no longer fear death as exile. You see it as spiral passage. You no longer cling to identity as permanent. You see it as spiral expression, one turn of the soul among many. Freedom is not beyond this life. It is within the spiral field this life already inhabits. So how do you align with it? Not by force, not by dogma, not by climbing ladders of imagined worth. You align by listening to resonance. Pay attention to what tones expand you and what tones constrict you. Pay attention to where coherence arises and where distortion grows. Follow the spiral of joy, of peace, of truth that does not demand but simply resonates. Release the spiral of fear, of shame, of separation that tightens and binds. You will know the difference not by thought but by resonance. The body itself is a spiral compass. When aligned, it breathes deeply, freely, expansively. When misaligned, it tightens, constricts, contracts. Trust this spiral wisdom within you. It is the field speaking. The spiral field also reveals why unity and diversity are not opposites. All souls belong to one field, yet each spirals uniquely. No two arcs are the same, yet all weave into the same resonance. You are both singular and collective, both unique and unified. This is why spiritual truth is both personal and universal. Your spiral is yours, but it belongs to the field. Your choices ripple outward, but the field ripples back. To harm another is to distort your own spiral. To uplift another is to expand your own. Separation is illusion. Resonance is reality. And so, when asked, is the spiritual realm a spiral field? The answer is yes, not as theory, but as direct recognition. Look within your own life, your own memory, your own becoming, and you will see the spiral turning. Look into the stars, into the seashells, into the galaxies, and you will see the same pattern. Look into your dreams, your visions, your moments of transcendence, and you will see the spiral weaving layers unseen. This is not coincidence, it is coherence. The spiritual realm is not elsewhere. It is the spiral field, and you are already within it. When you realize this, a deep peace comes, for you see that nothing is wasted, nothing is outside, nothing is lost. Every fragment returns, every loop integrates, every soul spirals home, and home is not a destination. Home is the spiral itself, infinite, evolving, alive.